Hit record and get started. Hi, everyone.
Awesome.
My name is Rachel Hutchison. I am the manager of online instructional design for the Academy at NHSA. So happy to be with you here today to talk about tackling challenging behaviors with fun. Before we get started, just a couple housekeeping notes. As always, we are recording this session, so you are welcome to go back and watch it again later, share it with your colleagues, have good conversations about what you learned today, and practice the strategies. We also will have a series of resources that we will talk about over the course of this webinar. You'll get links to all of that in our follow-up email. So feel free to just stay with us, stay engaged, drop questions in the chat anytime you have them. We'll answer as many as we can get to today. Today we're going to talk about fun and challenging behaviors together. I'm going to tell you right now, I spend a lot of time with kids. I do a lot of youth theater. And when I have fun with the kids, I lose the classroom. Like it just turns into chaos, right? And it's so hard to get them back. So I am very fascinated to hear about how we can use fun in working with challenging behaviors, not causing challenging behaviors. So I'm going to hand it to our experts today to help us learn how. That would be Dr. Deborah Bergeron, known fondly to us in Head Start as Dr. B. She is our Director of Engagement and, Community Engagement and all the other things. I'm sorry, Dr. B, I butchered that.
I like that. I'm doing that new title.
Also,
Deputy Director of Community Engagement and all the other things. That's my
and
new
former
title.
director of the Office of Head Start. So literally all the things. And then, of course, Nick Young, Nick the Music Man, with 30 years of experience teaching preschool music in classrooms, both live and online. So very excited to hear about your perspectives on fun and challenging behaviors today. Dr. B, why don't you get us started?
It is so fun to be here today. These are short and sweet. So we go through a lot of information in a short amount of time. So I'm going to do my best to give you one nugget to take with you. And as we were talking about, the topic this time is fun. It comes from part of my Trust First class that I really base everything I do on a kind of a tenet that all human beings need to have an equilibrium of four things: achievement, respect, freedom, and fun. And if you think about yourself, just you're at your best when you feel successful, when you know you're loved, when you have freedom to make choices, and when you get to do stuff just for you. Kids are the same way. So I teach that whole big thing in my class. I don't have time today for all four. So we're going to focus on fun. And here's the idea: fun isn't necessarily about the activity that you plan, that you think is the coolest thing ever, that you spent the whole weekend planning for and gathering the materials and practicing. It's really about what your kids believe is fun to them. When do they feel completely free to just enjoy whatever it is that's going on? Now, that can't happen all day because we have things we need to teach and we have an order of operations to our day. We have a time for lunch and a time for recess. But if there isn't time in that space for kids to let loose and really be able to find joy in their day, their equilibrium will be off, and you'll notice that. So part of my fun spiel is about making sure the order of your day, the flow of your day includes that true, unbothered space to just find joy for your kids, for their pure fun. And it's not judged by you. It's really where they find that space. But I want to take it just a little bit further, and I'm going to do that with you in a minute, where I'm going to give you a skill that you can use to bring fun into tackling challenging behaviors. So now I'm going to turn it over to my friend with the guitar, Nick the Music Man.
All right. Thank you, Dr. B. Wow, what a great intro. Doctor, I think there's a lot of interest in this subject because we're getting up at about 550 people here. It's so great to see everyone. I'm Mr. Nick the Music Man, Nick Young. I'm an early childhood music and movement specialist, educator, and all those things. I've been working with Head Start for about 18 years and preschools for about 30 years. And so I love this subject. I love Dr. B. I love how you introduced it. And I think there's so many things to focus on when we think about fun in the classroom. We want to create a positive atmosphere in our classroom. We don't want the children to be like coming in and feeling intimidated or belittled. You know, we want to make sure they feel like they're human beings, and we give them respect, and we also provide a structured environment for them to be able to thrive in. And that's one of those key elements are so important, to enable us in order to bring the fun element in. What I do is all based on fun and joy and celebration. So it's children learn through play. So we want to give them opportunities to play and develop their all these important traits that they develop through play, which is like social and emotional, cognitive, language, gross and fine motor, all the things that they need for school readiness are all built into that concept of play and fun and joy. And of course, we have important things that we need to do in the classroom with our students, but more than them learning all the academic stuff, I think it's so important for them to feel free to be creative and express themselves in a joyful way. And you know what, like Rachel was saying, she feels like when it's fun, that's when the class management challenges come up. And I think that that can be true, but I think it's important to have certain tools in place and structure in place and routine in place with your classroom so that they understand and they just know that there's boundaries and there's guidelines and there's things where they can, they understand the structure of the classroom environment. So that's so important. And then we can have that freedom to be fun, to have fun and to express ourselves and be joyful, and not have to be stifling their creativity, but with a lot of micromanaging of their behavior. You know, what I like to do when I'm managing a group in my music time, I did this yesterday in a group I was teaching at a school in Irvine, California. And I had two children, two little girls that were right next to each other in the group, and they like to wrestle and have fun and bump each other. And so I have my song that I was doing going, they were dancing, and instead of stopping everything and making this big deal about it, I just said, Annie, I've got a special spot for you right over here. And I just had her come over, and I had to encourage her to move over to this other spot, but I did it in a way that was positive and not shaming her or saying she did something wrong, but I just moved her to a new space, and all of a sudden the group was flowing and moving in a better way without that disruptive behavior happening. And it's something that you just do it ongoing. You kind of pay attention to the group, and you're making a little fine-tuning adjustments without being intrusive or shaming or punitive. You can manage the group in a way that's positive with your positive affect, and you're projecting a lot of fun and joy, and your energy, your vocal expression, your physical presence is expressing joy. Okay, back to you, Dr. B.
Well, I love doing this with you, Nick, because what we have to say marries so well together. So what a great segue. So when I saw that our topic was fun this time, I come at that from a number of different angles. And a lot of people will interpret that as, well, learning, play-based learning, and when kids are having fun, they're learning. And that is true. And a lot of that can be great preventative work in terms of challenging behaviors, because when kids are busy, they're probably fine. I mean, they're going to be engaged, they're going to be fine. But I want to flip it a minute, and I'm going to take it from the angle of the teacher or the instructional assistant or the bus driver. I saw we have a bus driver on this call, and I was trying to find the name and I lost it. The chat is so busy, but yay to anybody from support services who's here. Behavior is not just about our lead teachers, it's everybody who engages with kids. So woohoo. And when I talk about fun, here's what I want to ask you as a question, like just retrospectively think about, why in the world did you decide to do this job? And I'm just going to make a guess that in the best moment, when you're in the zone with kids, it is fun. Don't you think it's fun? Teaching is fun. It is fun to teach someone something. It is fun to watch someone learn something when you see that light bulb go on and you know you hit the mark. I mean, just saying that out loud makes me get chills because it is pure fun. So, what if I told you you could turn dealing with a challenging behavior as an opportunity for fun for you? Now, this is where people lose their minds because they think, no way, that is not fun. It's only fun when they're doing what I want them to do. But guess what? When children are not doing what you need or want them to do at the moment, instead of looking at that as a challenging behavior, look at it as an opportunity for you to do what you love most, which is teach. And here's how you can approach this in your classroom with your children. The big mantra you want to adopt, and if you've been to my sessions before, you've heard me say it: mistakes are where the new learning goes. Celebrate them. In front of your kids, tell them your favorite moment of the day is when they make a mistake. Because when they make a mistake, I get to do what I love to do most, which is teach and get them excited about it. So that this is no longer a moment of conflict or control or power. It's an opportunity for you to teach. And I can take the most simple example, which happens almost every day in a Head Start program everywhere, and that is it's time to go to the carpet, and you've got someone who doesn't want to go to the carpet. They are not finished at the block center, and the carpet is not calling their name, and I'm not coming. And so now you've got this conflict because you've got this great plan that you spent all weekend planning and you're so excited about it. And why aren't you excited about it? Because I am. And now you've got some conflict. I need you to do this. You don't want to do it. But if you've set up your classroom so that your kids know that when things aren't going the way that you need them to, we'll call them mistakes. When they make a mistake, and we'll say not coming to the carpet when it's carpet time is a mistake, it's celebrated. I am so excited that you would like me to help you learn how to get to the carpet. So let's practice this and turn it into another opportunity for teaching. I wish I had more time to dig deeper into this because as I'm saying it, I know you're firing off a ton of questions in your mind. What if he says no? What if he throws a chair at me? What if this happens? There are all these possibilities. But just trust me with this one tenet, and that is if your classroom is set up so that children are safe to make mistakes because you are excited to teach when that happens. And when I say that, turn up the excitement. Oh my gosh, I am so excited that you want support coming to the carpet today because my favorite thing to do is to teach. And you're giving me the opportunity to do that. And you do that with 100% sincerity. This is not sarcasm. It is not, you're not pretending. So it's really important that it's sincere and authentic. And watch the kids change. Their demeanor will change completely because that's not what they expect, especially if they have been in an environment of reward and punishment. If you're running a program right now that gives stickers when you do something correct and has some kind of timeout or something else when it's not, that is setting up a situation where you're playing a power game, and you want to get rid of that if you can. So that's what I have to say about fun. The main thing is find your fun in your job you do. When you're having fun teaching, kids are more engaged. They are far less likely to exhibit really challenging behaviors if you're in that zone. Back to you, Nick.
Thank you, Dr. B. Wow. Okay, so I resonated with everything you had to say. Some particular things, because this is my reality, teaching in the classroom with children who are moving and dancing and jumping like a frog and flying like a bird and playing instruments. And also having been a preschool teacher myself for 5 years, I think it's so important to have set up your classroom for success in this area, just like you were mentioning, Dr. B. I think especially when a lot of teachers, and like you, I always think, okay, what about the teachers that are dealing with really challenging classroom behavior? And sometimes if you've set up your classroom, not just the physical environment, but the whole structure of how you run your classroom, if you set that up in a way that is pointing you towards success, sometimes you're going to have to weather the storm of some really challenging situations. And I so resonate with what you said, Dr. B, about not losing your cool, not making it an ego thing or a power thing. Where some of my most satisfying moments are when I'm dealing with a group of really challenging children, and I'm able to kind of just like weather the storm and get through it and stay consistent with what I'm presenting. And then I see the change happening. It's not happening instantly. It's happening slowly and gradually as they start to realize that they're in a safe environment, that there's a structure here, that they want to be involved in what's going on because they love doing it. They love the activities that are being offered to them. And so they have this incentive to want to be able to participate. But in order to do that, they need to go through a growth process where they're developing social skills and impulse control. And we're giving them this opportunity, this laboratory for them to be able to do that. And they're also seeing how we're behaving in a challenging situation. They're not dumb. They can see, oh my gosh, teacher's really going through it today, and that when they see how you're handling that, they're learning about how to be a human being and how to be eventually a grown-up. It's like they're learning these social skills by the way that you handle stuff. And as long as you continue to be positive, and I love, Dr. B, what you said about being like sincere. It's not like, okay, kids, I guess we're going to do this way. It's like, no, it's like you are focused on what you're presenting. You're focused on giving choices. And even when things feel overwhelming, you don't lose your cool. And eventually you start to see the change that happens in the children. And it's, I think it's a very rare breed of human being that is able to do this kind of work and work with young children. But those of us that love it, we love it. Like, we don't want to work with the older kids. We want those preschool age kids, because in so many ways, there's an incredible opportunity for us to have joy and fun and share that with our students, and then see this amazing growth that's happening. Of course, they're maturing and growing naturally, because at that age they are just in hyperspace going, maturing. But I love what you said about not, children that are coming into the classroom from a reward and punishment based environment. And that could be something that they're encountering at home, in other classrooms, where we kind of have to give them, they don't feel safe if they feel like I have to be a certain way in order to be loved, or in order to be, to have respect and freedom and achievement and fun. We want them to have this opportunity, this growth opportunity, this developmental opportunity that we can give them by creating this beautiful environment. And it's not conditional. It's not like, only if you act the way I want you to act and say the things I want you to say, then you get my acceptance and my love. It's like, I love you no matter what. And we're going to have more fun when we're able to work together in a way that's positive. And again, we're not stifling their creativity. We're not trying to raise a bunch of children who are docile, quiet little beings that just do what they're told. We want them to challenge and to feel empowered, So I think, we have a balance, there's choices equal results, and there's natural choices that happen. And sometimes that means they need to take a break from music. If their body's not ready for music, and I give them all kinds of choices and it's still not happening, I might say, all right, I notice your body's not ready for music, take a break, and then you can come right back as soon as you're ready. So it's just a series of choices that they're presented with, and the result is almost always positive and great. Back to you, Dr. B.
Great. I think this is a great conversation about, so we've talked about bringing fun into the lesson, into the day, because that is where kids thrive and where they're going to find their sweet spot. We've talked about making sure that that's defined by them. Be careful it's not only defined by you as the teacher or the instructional assistant, or in whatever role you are filling, because kids have their own idea of fun. And then also that you remember your fun in the classroom, and that as a teacher, you didn't choose this by accident. There is that pure fun that you have when you are teaching and you're successful. And if you can find that person and bring it into every moment of your day, including when kids choose to do what you don't want them to do, and turn those into fun moments of learning, here's what will happen over time. Your classroom will evolve into a completely different feel. It will just be a different place for kids to be. And the vast majority of your children will pretty much move through their day. You'll have your corrections here and there and your teaching moments here and there. And that isn't going to take care of your really extreme situations where you have a child with a learning disability or an emotional disability or something like that. But what it does is it frees you up from having to be in that kind of crisis mode with 80% of your kids. And instead, it's just 5 or 10%. And so you can take that energy, because you are going to have extreme situations. And those are not things that you just fix. Those are really serious issues that are going to take a lifetime for that child to deal with and that family. But when it doesn't feel like it's everything all day long, you become more equipped and more able to cope. So I think that's the idea behind all of this. And, you can start tomorrow. You can start celebrating mistakes tomorrow and teach your kids what that looks like and get them excited about how when you make a mistake, you get to fix it. It's a great way to set the tone in your classroom for safety and learning. And then you just kind of go through the day, and it's bumpy every day because they're kids and we're human beings and nothing is going to be scripted.
That's awesome. And Dr. B, what about those teachers that are interested in learning more about this and getting really a lot of tools and things that they can use in their classroom?
That is such a good question. Rachel, are you going to talk about that or am I going to talk about that? So we have a classroom management behavior, it's managing classroom behaviors credential that we put together here at the Academy. That's really Trust First. It's Nick's class on music. We have a class on transitions, and you put them all together and that you get a classroom management credential. And what I do want to say, it's very different from traditional training. We are not here to give you scripts or packages that all you have to do is open them up and all of a sudden, like you're following someone else's script. This is about you embracing a different way of thinking and a different way of talking to kids. And in each one of these sections, we dive really deep and give you tools that you put in your tool belt. And from there, you walk into a classroom more equipped to kind of cope with a variety of different things throughout the day. And that's my approach. That's how I managed teachers when I was an administrator. I'm not a big believer in prescriptive classroom management because I think it takes, first of all, I think it's really hard to do. And second of all, I think it takes the power away from the teacher and puts it onto something over here. And you want to always be the one feeling like you're empowered.
Yeah, that classroom management credential, we offer that twice a year. So we currently have a full cohort of learners from Head Start going through right now, and they're learning about effective transitions, and they're learning about this whole Trust First methodology, and they're going to learn about how to use music and movement as a social emotional development tool, among other things, from our 3 experts. If you're interested in that credential, go ahead and go to that website. We're going to have our fall registration opening very soon. So if you sign up for our interest list, I will let you know the moment that's open and you guys can sign up. It is really just the best way to reframe your thinking, like Dr. B said, around what makes a classroom joyful and fun to be a part of for kids and for you. I did want to point out one other resource that we have available for you due to a great partnership that we have with the Smithsonian. We have a fabulous digital backpack with lots of what Nick likes to call falling down easy resources that you can use in the classroom that are straight up fun because they're all based on Smithsonian resources that they have for you, artifacts, animals at the zoo. We have virtual field trips you can literally just turn on and enjoy with your kids, and it's aligned with the early learning outcomes. So you don't have to worry. This is like really excellent learning for them and fun for all of you. So a half hour of just straight up enjoyment with your kids in the classroom. So we'll drop that link in the chat for you as well. I see it there. Thank you, Courtney. And all of that will be in your follow-up email as well. So we're just about to time, and we have barely skimmed the surface. So I'm just going to give Dr. B and Nick one more shot at the microphone here with just like closing thoughts. If you could leave with one thing that you're like, go home and with this today. I know I took tons of notes from what you guys were saying. Find your fun. It takes time to build relationships and change a classroom structure. What else? What would you have them leave with?
Well, if you don't mind, I'll go first. I think if there was one specific element or tool, I would say, of course, I would say bring interactive music and movement, make it a more of an intentional element of your classroom teaching, because it does create a lot of joy and fun in the classroom, and you get to be involved, and you get to be fostering really positive teacher to student interactions and student to student interactions, and it's a tool that you can send home with the parents to enjoy at home, and it's just an all-around winner, and it gives you this wonderful opportunity to do all the things that we've been talking about, where the children are active and engaged and having fun, and also learning and developing all these important social skills. How about you, Dr. B?
Yeah, I'm going to start with some nuts and bolts because I saw some questions there. Next cohort is the fall, right? And I saw lots of questions about pricing. We are really trying to make this as affordable as possible so everybody can do it. I would argue that if you were to go to your supervisors and explain that you will bring this back for the rest of the staff, it's very easily transferable. So if a couple people from your program want to take it and be the leads, you can bring the resources back. That's what we want. We want as many people using it as possible. And I think the key here is really behind the whole program is shifting your mindset. And I'm going to give you a really good example of that. We talked about positive and negative reinforcement, right? And I bet most of you said, oh, we don't do negative reinforcement. We don't write kids' names on the wall or send them we don't do that stuff anymore, right? But there are lots of programs that are still doing reward-driven behavior management. And I have news for you. When you give a reward, you're actually giving a punishment, because anybody who doesn't get the reward has been punished. So you are still doing reward punishment behavior strategy, and that's very extrinsic, and it's shallow, and it doesn't last. And so what we end up with is like a quick win with a long-term not working. So the idea here is that you are digging into yourself, and today's topic is fun. You're finding your fun in the work that you do, and the kids will feel it, and you will absolutely see a difference in just the way your classroom flows day to day. And we're thrilled that you joined us today. Again, big shout out to any support staff on this call. I was so happy to see a bus driver because you all are so important. Keep doing the good work. Keep looking, if you can't do the class yet, keep looking for our webinars. We're trying to get out there as much as we can for you. We care deeply that you find success in the work that you do and that we're able to support that.
Okay, and with that, we are like right at time. Nick, I hear that guitar. Take us out with a song, buddy.
I like music, it's time for fun. It's time to sing and dance all around. Time to learn and ask questions too. It is all the museums and the National Zoo. Gotta come to our Smithsonian National
There's another
Zoo.
shout out for our Smithsonian resources. Yep. Check those out. Come to our next field trip, March 21st. Thanks,
All right,
everyone.
see you in there, friends.